Hello and welcome folks, welcome to another Premodern video, the best format Magic has to offer. And this is a little bit of I'm not even sure if I can really call this a brew, because this is basically a combination of multiple decks that I did not brew. So what really made this deck click was when Patrick Burt created his LobsterCon deck list with Terravores and Exalted Angel and Oath, and I thought it was one of the coolest decks that I had ever seen in the format. And I have been obsessed with Sphere of Resistance for like months at this point. I think that this card is extremely good in the format. I actually have messed around with a version of this deck without Oath of Druids, which you can check in my past videos if you want to see where my mind was at. But as soon as I saw with this deck always been in the back of my mind, with this card being always on the back of my mind in this specific shell, and then when I saw Pat Burt's deck list with Oath, Terravore, Exalted Angel, everything just kind of clicked and everything came together. Then of course the mono green Oath deck is now everywhere, and that deck also has some similarities with this, so that helped solidify where my mind was at with this archetype. But this is very cool. I think this deck can potentially be very, very strong, and I'm very high on it. It's going to be my first time actually trying it out, so we'll see how it actually goes. But I think that it has a lot going for it. So, as I just said, this is mostly a Sphere Resistance deck, but this deck has access to Sphere that it can cast on turn 1 thanks to Mox Diamond, and it also has access to Oath of Druid that it can cast on turn 1, or Sylvan Library. Like, all three of these cards are just absolute bangers that you can just slam on turn 1, and then you have, some interaction in Swords to Plowshares, the best removal spell in the format, a couple of Enlightened Tutors, which I'm playing here basically to round the deck out, but I'm not sure if I should be playing these cards. Every time that I'm playing an Oath deck, I feel like Enlightened Tutor becomes a little bit more worth it, because Oath as a card is so absurdly broken that, having access to extra copies of Oath is a way to recoup the card disadvantage that you incur into whenever you cast the card Enlightened Tutor. And if you follow in my content, you know that I have a hatred for this card. But if there's gonna be one shell for Enlightened Tutor in the format today, I think that it could be something like this. And then the very top end includes one of my cards that I'm the most obsessed with in terms of trying to break. I think Cataclysm is extremely, extremely powerful, and I feel like not enough decks can actually play it. So there are a couple of synergies going on with this strategy. Obviously, we do have, Oath of Druids going on, but what I really like about this concept is that you can just hard cast your dudes whenever you're not resolving Oath triggers, for example, against like Standstill or Control decks or stuff like that. When your Oath of Druids is not doing the job, you can simply just spend 3 mana and cast a Terravore or an Exalted Angel. Obviously, it's that much better when you get them off of the Oath, but it's still very, very strong. And what this deck is doing a couple of things. First of all, it has some 3-drop villages to beat down. It has some secluded steps and like a bunch of colored sources, because we have some pretty steep color requirements in this deck. We have GG at 3 mana, and we have white, and Cataclysm, and on the Exalted Angels, with 2 extra Exalted Angels in the sideboard, by the way. So this deck has some pretty steep color requirements, so that meant that I wanted to make sure that I hit my land drops. It's possible that we could like cut down maybe like one of the secluded step for maybe a Mishra's Factory or something like that. But like this was I wanted to be err on the side of caution in my very first draft of this deck. We also have 2 layer lands. This is Rift's Grow and Trail's Ruin. It doesn't really matter which one it is as long as they tap for green and white. So I just have a split because I just had only 1 copy of each in my MTGO account, so I guess I'm splitting them, but obviously it doesn't matter anyway. And then we have 4 copies of Wasteland and then 4 Port. And Port in particular is a card that I really, really like in this kind of archetype. I think that Port obviously works extremely well with a Sphere of Resistance, and it works even that much better with Cataclysm and then the Armageddon out of the sideboard. And the reason for this is that Port, like a Wasteland, basically means that whenever you wasteland your opponent, you are harder away from casting your Cataclysm because you are down a land. Obviously, your opponent is also down a land. But Port, on the other hand, what it does is it forces your opponent to overextend into the Cataclysm because they need to play more actual lands if they actually want to be casting their spells, and even more so if there's a Sphere of Resistance in play, of course. And then once they do, you just get to punish them by slamming the Cataclysm and like blowing up a bunch of their lands -1, which you can then keep, you know, a port and a sphere of resistance. And like, how are they ever casting any spell in the remainder of the game? Also, you will hopefully be left with like a massive Terravore and maybe like either a Civil Library or an Oath of Druids or whatever. So there's some pretty significant synergy happening in here. And I think it works on different levels, which is pretty cool. So that's about the main deck, which I think it's pretty solid. But like, again, I have like these tutors that can be flex slots. I have maybe like library number 3 can be a flex slot. So we do have like a couple of flex slots happening in there. And again, like the mana base is very, very responsible, to call it somehow. If you wanted to be a little bit greedier, you could cut down on maybe some of the secluded steps for something else. But I do think that I like it the way it is. In the sideboard, we have an extra copy of Enlightening Tutor. And this is not a card that you oftentimes see in the sideboard, but I think, if anything, this is like the best place for Enlightened Tutor, because what you want to do is you want to be getting cards that are especially impactful. So I was thinking between either Enlightened Tutor or Argivian Find. These are the 2 cards that I had in my sideboard, but my main concern with this archetype was specifically the red deck, and having an extra copy of Enlightened Tutor means that I will have 4 virtual copies of Circular Protection Red, and my game plan in this matchup is going to be to like land a sphere and then just basically ride Cop Red to victory, and eventually I am going to, you know, tap a little bit low for a Terravore, but hopefully with like 2 or 3 mana left, which is gonna be enough to prevent me from killing, you know, from my opponent from killing me if I have a sphere resistance in play. And then, you know, StifleNought obviously to help out with that as well. I was thinking about Warmth as well. Warmth has the upside that we actually don't need to use mana to get the value from it. So obviously having access to 4 Warmth means that it's much more likely that you will have access to it on turn 2. The problem being that if your opponent ever plays Sulfuric Vortex, you kind of just lose. While, you know, if your opponent plays Sulfuric Vortex and you have a Circle Protection Red, you kind of just win. So, so because of that, I think that the Cop Red angle may be better, even if it's a little bit more mana intensive. Then we have some Tomoscript, Pyrexent Furnace. These are, you know, graveyard head cards that, you know, get better in different matchups, if that makes sense. So Tomoscript is better versus decks where you really want to like nuke the entire graveyard. So think about stuff like Fluctuator or something like Replenish. While Phyrexian Furnace is much better versus decks that use the graveyard for value. So stuff like Elves or stuff like Squee decks is what I'm trying to say, like survival decks. So like Furnace really shines in there. Then we have Curse Totem, because Elves is very likely just a heinous matchup. So I want to make sure that I find some Curse Totem. Also works against like Hermit Feb and stuff like that. Seal of Cleansing, Aura of Silence, Ray of Revelation, Naturalize. This is like some extra redundancy in the artifacts / enchantment destruction package. And then finally, as I just said earlier, Suranor, Circular Protection, and 1 single copy of Armageddon. Armageddon obviously being particularly good versus the control decks and stuff like the Rock and stuff like that. So very excited to give this deck a shot, so we'll see how it goes. Looking forward to it. If you are enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you for round number 1. Alright, here we go with round number 1. This hand seems kind of okay. I'm gonna keep this. I think that the early Sphere can be pretty good here. And we have Sphere plus Port, which is very nice. Also, our mana is nice and clean. The double Exalted Angel, obviously not great, but that's how it goes sometimes. What are you gonna do? Turn 1 Port. Mox. Okay, so we're playing probably against the Oath deck, which is probably pretty bad matchup, actually. Heh, what a champion. I think I want to get a white source here. And yeah, I'm definitely blowing up the library here. That's gonna be like such a big advantage for my opponent. I could also like blow up the Mox Diamond, but like library is going to like get them back on it. So like I don't think it's particularly valuable to do that. Double Port. So if my opponent chooses to play something, then they're just, oh, well, that's good for me. That is pretty good for me then. So my opponent's not playing the Oath variant. Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I think I play Travis Ruins. No, actually I pitch Travis Ruins to the Mox so that I can flip the Exalted Angel on my upkeep. So pitch the Ruins, play port, and just morph. So if my opponent has some way of actually destroying my lands, that's gonna be, or I guess destroying my Mox as well, that's gonna be obviously pretty bad for me, but mulch. Oh well. So my opponent's playing a very different deck to what I thought my opponent was playing. Now we know. But yeah, it should be fairly easy, unless they have a bolt right now, it should be fairly easy for this Angel to raise this Nimble Mongoose. So they wait till my upkeep to port, and I'm just going to flip this Angel. Definitely playing a land here. I think hitting land up is going to be pretty important. And I really doubt that my opponent's going to be able to raise this Exalted Angel now. They probably will need to do something like Devastating Dreams plus Bolt or something like that, because there's no way they're going to have 5. There's no way they're going to have 5 cards in hand, right? Like they're just not going to... Okay, sure. Stone Rain's fine. That just doesn't matter. Corplucent Forest. Do I even want to play out this Sphere of Resistance is the question here. Sure. So the upkeep top my land doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna morph another Angel. Now what's my opponent gonna do if I can flip a second one? So it's pretty funny because I mean, now that land tax has been banned, I feel like, to be fair, like I think this deck was already very good. Like the red-green deck, I think it was already very good with land tax being in the format. Obviously, it had a terrible matchup against land tax specifically, but so now that, you know, land tax was banned, now there's a bunch of decks that can start to resurface. And, you know, Terravore decks are definitely big winners in all of this exchange. And I think it's very cool that we're seeing all of these versions, which, you know, it's going to be funny because, like, all of the decks are not the same, right? So they actually are, they have pretty significant differences one from another. So it's going to be really interesting how they work. Like, for example, I think we definitely have a really bad matchup versus the mono green versions that's been showing up. And yeah, I'm not making any comments on the state of the current match. I think that it's, I think it's either this Exalted Angel is going to go the distance or we're going to lose, right, if this gets answered. So I'm not really paying too much attention to what's going on. I'm just swinging for 4 every turn. But what I'm saying is, like, all of these decks match up against one another in pretty different ways, which I think is very interesting. So I think that, you know, how the format is going to look from now on, or like how, like the different, I'm trying to say that the different versions of each deck are going to have like different like upsides and downsides compared to other ones. So it's going to be really interesting to see which ones are the ones that end up rising to the top. So I don't think I'm supposed to play this Swords to Plowshares. Like, I could have Swords to Plowshares the Werebear, but I just don't think it does anything. Because if that were the case, if I was going to STP the Werebear, obviously I should have, you know, swung for 2 with the morph. Naturalize my land. So they have 3 mana left. Sure, that resolves. Yeah. I was gonna say I don't think that does anything at this point in the game, but sure. All right, so going on to game number 2. Exalted Angel, pretty decent as you just saw. I do like Ray of Revelation, Seal of Cleansing, Naturalize. All of these seem fantastic. And then I do like Phyrexian Furnace. Kind of iffy on Tormod's Crypt. Cards I do not like. Sphere of Resistance. I think this one's gonna hurt me more than my opponent because they have a better anti-land package going on. So get rid of that. I don't think I care for Enlightened Tutor. Cataclysm is an interesting one. I think I definitely want to cut at least one of those, but maybe they're just fine. I think Oath is going to be fantastic, so I definitely don't want to cut those. So as is, I think Aura of Silence is going to be like a little bit tough to cast. I'm being on the draw. I think I'd rather have access to like the 2 mana answer cards as opposed to the 3 mana one. Tormod's Crypt is kind of interesting. Enlightened Tutor is kind of interesting. I don't think I care about Tormod's Crypt. I think Terravore is going to be important because like Terravores are going to, probably be rambling against opposing Terravores. So like the fact that, they're just going to check each other out is potentially good for me. I think I'm just going to cut one Cataclysm. Just have 2 Cataclysms. Man, I'm really not into this card at all. Maybe I should have Surin Orb, honestly. Nah, there's no way. Also, I don't think Copper Red does anything. I don't think Curse Totem does anything. If I cut the two more Cataclysms, I'm probably going to need Tomod Script and the Tutor, which is, I think it's pretty bad. Maybe I'm on the draw, so the Tutor is a little bit better. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, so this is a turn to Oath. So I think I'm going to keep this hand. Opponent's got a Mox, which is pretty good for them. This Mox card's pretty solid. Please play a creature, perfect. So I think I just Tutor for Oath. Just gonna play a basic Plains and just pass the turn back. Like, there's no need for me to play my Moxen out. I think I'm just tutoring for an Oath. This may backfire if my opponent has to Naturalize, but I think this is probably okay. Stone Rain. So let's tutor for an Oath. Obviously, we're gonna get the nice looking one. And I'm going to play a Mox, Pitching Treetop. And do I want to Wasteland them? I don't think so. I think I'm just going to do this. The question now is, do I play another Mox? I don't think I do. I may want to, like, if my opponent has to Naturalize for this Oath, I may want to, like, upkeep Tutor, exactly. So I can now upkeep Tutor for another Mox. For another Oath, sorry. Basics are OP, man. Basics are so OP. Alright, Tutor. Give me that Oath of Druids, baby. And I think I'm going to just play around the onboard Wasteland by playing another Mox Diamond here. It's a 2-for-1, which sucks, but... So no cards in hand. This is what I got. Does my opponent have another Naturalize? Because if they don't, I think that we're going to be in pretty good shape. Don't do it. No Naturalize. Come on. Yes, Stone Rain resolves. Stone Rain most definitely resolves. I will choose my opponent as the target, and I will say yes to Oath of Druid's ability. Oh, look. An Angel. If my opponent attacks, I'm not going to block, because that means that I'm going to get another free creature. So, my opponent should attack. Port when I have no lands in play. That's hilarious. Opponent now 1 card in hand. Opponent should have attacked, because now I'm going to have 2 Angels instead of 1. Or an Angel on a Terravore. Nope, 2 Angels. Alright, play my land. Swing with a dude. Okay, sure. So, one thing my opponent could do, if they find like if they have a way to like bolt their own Werebear, they could have used my Oath to their advantage, and then just hope. This I'm so not into this card. Like, I am really into this deck. I am really into the red-green like deck. I don't think that Race is what you want to be doing. I think that this card is just very, very bad. I do like the rest of the deck, but Race is just heinous. Obviously, I'm not blocking there, because if I block, then my opponent gets an Oath trigger, and then they may flip a Terravore, and at this point, the only way that I lose is my opponent flips a Terravore, so I am very, very easily winning this race, because Exalted Angel is the best card in Premodern. It is my favorite card in Premodern, for what's worth, but I think it's very cool. Alright, 1-0. Let's go. Alright, here we go. This hand looks pretty fantastic, actually. We're on the play. I'm gonna go turn 1 Mox, pitching probably the basic Forest. And I'm gonna be using a fetch land to go find the basic Plains to play this library. I think this is pretty good start here. I could have like pitched the Treetop to the Mox Diamond to leave the Windswept Heath for a shuffle, but we're playing against Stasis. Okay, Black Vice. There's a Port. I like that. Enlightened Tutor is a good way to to go down on cards, funnily enough. Do I want to play around these? I think I do. So I'm gonna put this back, then I'm going to pay for the Tutor, and then I'm going to play the Port and just play a Seal of Cleansing here. Will can counter this if he wants to. So that resolved. It's kind of nice. I can tutor for a Sphere if I want to. I'm more interested in tutoring because I want to get a card out of my hand more than anything else, honestly. Sphere seems fine though. Yeah, gonna go with the sphere. So let's untap. Black Vice does nothing. We draw the sphere. Cataclysm ×2. I think I'm gonna hold on to one of these. I kind of want to like dig a little bit deeper, so I'm gonna play out this, play the sphere, see what Will wants to do about it. Just lets it go. Cool, that's fine. It's kind of nice that I can just let this seal sit here, and I just don't really need to do anything about it. So let the Black Vice happen. It's not really doing anything. It's a Cataclysm. All right, so I think I'm going to just like put both of these back. And I'm just going to play this Terravore. He can daze it, he can counter however he wishes. I don't think I care too much about that. Daze. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I don't think it matters too much. It kind of sucks that we have a bunch of dead draws. Like, we have 4 Swords to Plowshares and 4 Oath that are effectively dead cards here. The good thing is we have Treetop plus Port going. So, say yes. That's nice, so now we can start attacking. So put the Cataclysm on top, put the Mox on top, play a land, and I'll just swing with the Treetop. And I think I'm gonna start upkeeping the port. And I'm tapping out into my opponent's... I guess I can get blown out here. He's opting, okay, that's fine. I can technically get blown out, as in my opponent... No, I can't actually. This turn is actually safe to port. Because if he bounces... I just noticed he's playing fetch lands too. That's kind of weird. So he opted, but then he fetched afterwards. So I think I can tap here, because since I have the sphere, if he wants to like land the Stasis, he can't also... So if he wanted to land the Stasis, he can't also bounce my Seal of Cleansing. So that's why I think that's fine. Would love to draw something that's not dead here. See what we find. Another sphere. Yeah, I'll play that. Okay, so put Cataclysm on top, put Mox on top, and I'll play this sphere. So his goal is going to be to get rid of the Seal of Cleansing, and then to land the Stasis while having, you know, stuff going on. But by me playing this sphere, that means that he can't actually... If he wants to counter this, he can't actually... bounce my Seed of Cleansing. Like, this is the big winner here, I think. He can't actually win the game until he answers the seal. He untaps. So here... there's 2 spheres, so Stasis cost 4, so I think it's good to tap the Forsaken City. This is going to cost him a card. And obviously without a Stasis in play, there's no value at all in tapping my opponent's islands. So this is effectively just stealing a card from Will's hand. Would love to find a Wasteland so I can just get rid of the Forsaken City straight up. But yeah, at this point, 1 Stasis costs 4 mana to resolve. And he misses a land drop. That's good. Untap. Say yes. So all of those are basically dead cards. Awkward. So I think I'm gonna top Library, just stop the Cataclysm, and draw the Mox. I can just pass the turn. He missed the land drop last turn, so I can still port him. If he doesn't untap Forsaken City, I'm gonna port one of the islands. And if he bounces the seal, well, I think I just let it resolve. Okay, so he doesn't untap, so I'm gonna port the island. Maybe I should have attacked. Maybe I did miss on 3 damage there. He's gonna gush. I mean, gushing seems fine here. Library of Leng. Okay, that's a card, I guess. So I can resolve Cataclysm if I find the land. Okay, not that land. This should have been more specific. Okay, so do I want to? I don't think I do. Stop both of these, play Treetop, swing with Treetop. Just gonna tap my opponent's island on upkeep once again. Pretty unlucky that I found, you know, a bunch of dead draws. Though, to be fair, I do have a bunch of dead cards in my deck. Huh, so he does tap. He taps Pitching E-Tutor. That is really interesting. Alright, so I'll tap your Forsaken City now. Especially knowing that my opponent has, like, white cards in their deck. I am much more incentivized to, like, tap the Forsaken City. Maybe I should be tapping the island, but, like, my opponent will need to, like, play a land to resolve a Stasis, and I can just, like, blow up the Stasis. Like, I just don't care. Like, the double Sphere of Resistance is doing a lot of work here. Black Vice is not doing that much work. Library, another treetop. So I can just cast a Cataclysm here, bring my opponent down to 1 land, or actually force a counterspell. I think I'm okay with that. So let's go top. Let's cast Cataclysm. Definitely going to be keeping one of these spheres. And I know I have another library on top, so I'm just going to go. But like destroying 3 of my opponent's lands is just so powerful here. Particularly when I'm going to be leaving a sphere. Like I'm destroying 5 lands here. And like either one of these, it doesn't matter which one it is. And I'm just going to keep the library and the sphere, I think. And then I'm going to keep the port and one of... I can just keep both treetops, actually. I don't think he can let this resolve. I think if he has a counterspell, he needs to fight over this. Like, destroying 5 lands is just huge here. Like, it's a very big deal. Chain of Vapor, my seal. I think that's fine. Okay. I can sack a land to balance something, but do I want to? No, I don't want to. That's fine. Thwart. Okay. So now he's going to untap, and he's going to tap himself out. He's going to play Stasis, tap out. And if we find Wasteland, we just win the game. So resolve that, put that on top, put that on top. So here we're taking 1 damage. So I think I'm playing out the treetop. Maybe it was wrong to tap out for the seal, for the Cataclysm, sorry. So I think if I find the Wasteland, I win. Or at least it's going to be a lot harder for him to do anything, because he can't gush under the spheres, right? Hey, there we go. So put that on top, play a Wasteland, blow that up, pass a turn. So now he needs to find another city really quickly, because gush is not going to save him. He needs to find a city before he runs out of islands. Untap, okay, put that on top, put that on top. So we're finally going to be taking our first damage from this Black Vice this coming turn. So Will needs to be hitting some land drops pretty quickly here. Okay, that's 1 damage. Then it's going to be, if I don't find land, it's going to be 2 damage next turn. This library is doing a lot of work. The Source of Plowshares and and redundant libraries are not doing work for me though. But he can't gush, so gush is not going to save him from the Stasis. He also can't chain, and the Stasis is going to get destroyed. Awesome. So now we break off of it, and it was good for me to not take unnecessary damage in the last couple of turns. So here, Stasis is going to get destroyed, and I'm going to get to probably blow up the Black Vice. Oh, I get to just resolve a Cataclysm now, if I want to. That's Rift's Grove. That's actually nice, because that's both a land drop and a Mox. Okay, so how do I want to sequence this turn? So Cataclysm is 6 mana. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. I can just throw away this Moxen if I want to. And I can just blow up this Black Vice that I know it's going to resolve. So let's say that I Cataclysm now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wish I could just like throw cards away. What am I doing here? I can swing for 6, but that's not going to be enough. I feel like I need to... I probably just need to Cataclysm here. Yeah, I think so. So I Cataclysm like this. Keep Sphere, Library, Treetop. Yeah. That's going to leave him with a Black Vice, but he cannot counter my Seal. Oh, but I can't cast the Seal this turn. I can throw away cards in hand, though. So keep that... Keep that. Done. He only keeps an island. Play land, play a Rift's Grove. Bounce Treetop. Play a Mox. Pitch Treetop. And I think I just play a Mox and just pitch nothing. And send a turn back. Now if I find the land, I get to resolve. I do have no clock now. But he also has no lands, so I think this exchange is probably fine. These are a bunch of dead draws. Bunch of dead and uncastable cards. Yeah, my deck is giving up on me here. We have 28 lands. Really gotta find one of those. So we're gonna be taking 1 this turn from the Vice. Can't even cast these cards. Brutal. Yeah, we just have too many dead cards, right? This game one. We just do too many of them. Even the library could not help us because we just have so many dead cards this matchup. Sphere is doing good stuff though. I'm pretty happy with how well Sphere is doing here. So now we're gonna take 2, and like, I mean, whatever I play, he's gonna be able to counter now, right? Like it's too late at this point. So here's Zeal of Cleansing, but he has 6 cards in hand. Like there's just no way that he doesn't have a way to answer this. So if he lands a Stasis, we're probably dead here. That's a city. Interesting. Main phase Boomerang. Oh, so Black Vice. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just dead on upkeep. Makes a lot of sense. Alright, so now, these are dead cards. These are dead cards. So let's take these 8 blanks out of my deck, and let's bring in that. Let's bring in this. Let's bring in Suran Orb. I think Enlightened Tutors, whatever. Neutralize, Seal of Cleansing, and Armageddon, and the 2 Exalted Angels, which can actually give me a clock. Not a good clock, but an okay clock. And I think Geddon's probably better than Cataclysm. So yeah, look, this looks pretty good. This looks fine. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Tutor in this matchup. So it's gonna be a matter of, do I care more about these just playing around the... I mean, Tutor's just better than the Cataclysms, right? Like, Cataclysm's probably not super great. Okay, we're on the play this time around, and this seems fine, I guess. We have a bunch of land drops. Turn 2 library. Turn 2 library on the play. Turn 1 opt. Here's a library, and it resolves. Cool. I saved the fetch land because of the library, of course. Traverse Ruins allows me to, like, bounce my own lands to replay untapped. So I'm gonna hold on to these ruins for as long as I can. E-Tutor. That's interesting. So random library can go. And I think I'm just going to shuffle here. Do I just beat down? I'm just gonna play out a Secluded Step and just send the turn back. I'm just gonna shuffle with the Tutor. 2 mana to Boomerang my treetop. That's fine. Whatever, man. Whatever. Honestly, it seems kind of aggressive. Is he gonna land? Like, he just effectively time walked me, which is fine. So good. I'm gonna get a Sphere here, I think. I'm gonna say yes. I think I keep both of these on top and just play the Sphere. He's probably gonna counter it. I don't think it matters too much. He impulses. Looking for a Daze, I assume? I know. So I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna land the Suran Orb now, because if he had a Daze, he probably would have used it there. We basically traded Sphere for 2 cards, right? Probably good for us. He pitches an Impulse to the Forsaken City. That's fine. Honestly, maybe I should have drawn the second treetop. Now that I think about it, maybe it would have been better to do that. I don't know. Stasis. Sure, that's fine. We're actually gonna have a pretty significant amount of land drops here. I think this is fine. So put that on top, play a land, pass the turn back. We're just gonna fetch this away. We're really gonna dodge like a Gush or something like that, but if we do, we're gonna actually be fairly ahead, I think. We can also just find the Wasteland too. Would love to find the Wasteland. Oh, he already has Gush. That's real good for him. That is very, very good for him. Okay, shuffle. Get a forest. Untap. Another Terravore. And a port. Oh, that's really saucy. Okay, so if he gets frisky, we can actually punish him really badly with this port. Pitching Impulse. Not being able to resolve this Sphere was kind of a big deal though. Untap, see what we got. That's a Mox, which is fine, I think. I'm gonna be a little bit more, get a little bit more frisky with my life total because I just have a lot of extra resources, I think. I don't think I'm in great shape though. The fact that we already had the Gush rolled up was pretty big deal. Okay, never mind. If I can find the Wasteland, I think I'm easily winning this game now. Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so put that on top, and I think I'm paying for this. Let's Traverse Ruins. bouncing the plains because I care about having untapped lands. And I'm gonna make sure that he pays. Wow, he didn't untap. Okay, well, we shoot our shot here. Ray of Revelation, your Stasis. Days. Yeah, I'll pay. Chain of Vapor, his own Stasis. Okay, he doesn't suck a land to bounce, which is fine. But he can't actually redeploy the Stasis here. Okay, he does. Alright, so I'm gonna wait until his next upkeep, and then I'm going to flashback the Ray. Untap here, and sure. So put Terror back on top, put these on top. Do I pay for the step? I think so. So I'm gonna play the port, and I'm gonna pass the turn. I'm gonna force him to pitch to pay for Stasis, because I don't want him to untap this turn. Foil was pitched, so that probably means that he has a thwart. And I'm gonna actually Ray of Revelation on my opponent's end step, because if he has a thwart, he doesn't get to. Okay, never mind. He doesn't get to redeploy the land. Was my thought process. But now I'm just gonna flashback the Ray on the Stasis. If he thwarts, he has to do it now. He does have it. Brutal. All right, going to our turn. What do we see? Wasteland? Hell yeah. So put those back. Wasteland you. And main phase port you. And he didn't have the thwart, so now the Stasis is gonna fall off. We're gonna get a full untap, and this Stasis is gonna go to the graveyard. Obviously, finding the Wasteland was pretty good. In case you haven't noticed, that was a good Wasteland right there. Okay. Dude, shout out to the Sylvan Library. Shout out to the Sylvan Library delivering the goods. I think I want the second Terravore here. I can draw both, but I think I'm just going to green, 1, play a Vor. Then can play second Terravore and then port my opponent. I think that's probably fine. I kind of want to end this game quickly-ish. And now upkeep, port my opponent. We know that my opponent has the lands, right? So now, I think I'm going to see what's up first. I don't think I care about the Angel at this point. I think we're past the time of the Angel. So this is 6/6s. Get a Forest. Cycle Step. See what we find. Sphere. That's probably pretty good. So play that Sphere. Resolves. So this is 7. I can just lethal my opponent here if I go for it. Seems worth doing. My opponent can bounce my dudes and then untap and stasis me. But this is probably worth it swinging for 20 here. Hey, look at that. That's neat. That is neat. That was kind of cool. Yeah, obviously when we have bangers like Ray of Revelation in the matchup instead of Swords to Plowshares and Oath of Druids, the matchup becomes a little bit better for us. This seems fine. Do I want to bring a Cataclysm for an Exalted Angel? I don't think so. I think this is just fine. I think this just being like a random 2/2 is probably just okay. What an interesting matchup. I honestly don't understand people who don't like playing against Stasis. Every time I play against Stasis, I always have like super crazy interesting matchups. This hand is... Ugh. Yeah, I'm gonna move on this. I want to have... Yeah, this is much better. Keep this, which has 2 disrupting pieces. And I should think... I should actually bottom the second Brushland. Okay, so... Turn 1 Vice. Ooh, look at me strategically mulliganing to play around the turn 1 Vice. What a master. I'm probably gonna try to delay playing this Wasteland as much as I can. But I was planning on like tapping my opponent and then like playing this Sphere through days, and now I think I just slam it. Oh, never mind. I can do everything. Perfect. So I'm gonna play a Windswept Heath, and here's a Sphere of Resistance. No. Well, that's getting wastelanded. Nice. Well, I think I start porting now. I could just attempt to resolve this Terravore. I think I'm gonna actually... Let's just do that, so that when I finally resolve this Cataclysm, we do that... we actually do that with a Terravore in play. My opponent can also just counter this, which is just fine. Impulse, okay. I am actually behind on clock, though, which I need to be aware of. Mist land drop is huge. Mist land drop is massive. Okay, so I Wasteland, Forsaken City, Chain of Vapor. Sure. No, that's fine. Don't want to cycle land. I'm good. Now, here is TerraOath. And even if my opponent counters this, like it was a 2-for-1 already, right? So it's kind of fine. Maybe I should have passed the turn just to, you know, tap them and play around counterspell, but this seems kind of okay. Obviously at this point, this board is not doing too much, but it's fine. Port will do work eventually. Now that I think about it, maybe I should have just like tapped the Forsaken City and start Force Will to like use his mana. Like to use cards, I mean. Basic Plains sounds pretty bad in the Stasis deck. Like I know that he only has one white source, but I still think that I'm supposed to just to tap the blue source anyway. Funnily enough. Pass it back. We're just gonna do the same thing for a little bit here. Forsaken City. Sure. Now I'm gonna tap the city here. Could have cycled here on end step. I don't think I need to just yet. And if my opponent taps Stasis, like it just gives me so much more information. Am I tutoring here? Not yet. Library is pretty good though. Yep. So play my land, pass the turn back. So now we actually can tutor to our heart's content. We'll see if he pitches or not. He doesn't, which means we tap the other island. Untap. So I guess we're gonna take one look to see what the library finds. And the reason for that is that we may just find what we were looking for. Oh yes. Oh yes. So put that on top. Pay for this. We can just lead on Cataclysm here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm willing to like pitch one forest to the Suran Orb. Okay, so he counters the Cataclysm. Daze. Yeah, I'll just to save lands. So I can just choose to not pay here. That is fine, so I will not pay for this. And now we play a land, pass the turn, and I'm just gonna play the Sphere now. So we got a nice little 2-for-1 there, and we time walked him twice when we're about to like hopefully resolve this. He brain freezes. Kind of confused by that. I mean, I'm confused about why is this card in his deck? Like literally giving me value here. Let's play Sphere. Maybe this resolve, maybe it doesn't. I don't think it matters too much, one way or the other. I mean, we're kind of in really good shape here, I think. I feel like that Brain Freeze was actively good for us. Like, I can now pay more life, I can play another port, I can play this Seal, I can Wasteland him if I want to. I'm double porting him. So I just need to find a win condition now. And not timeout. Those are gonna be my goals here. But he literally cannot cast a Stasis. Even if he does, I can just seal it, or I can like flashback Rare of Revelation. So I just need to find any win condition here. So put that on top, put that on top. We can E-tutor for, I guess, another Seal. Cycle into it, play it, send the turn back. So many triggers. Alright. Now we just gotta fight the clock real quick. As many actions per minute as I can get together. Did he get all my win cons? There's no way. I have 8, and then I have like a bunch of manlands too. Yeah, I have more than enough win cons. Here I'm gonna like throw the wasteland into that Forsaken City just to deny him mana. Put that on top. Put that on top. Wasteland you. Play another wasteland. Untap. Send the turn back. Wait for him to pay. I'm surprised he actually pitched a card to the city. Thank you. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I should have tapped his lands to play around counterspell. This was kind of silly. Pour the blue. He floats a mana here. I wonder what he's gonna do. Call your draw step. 4 cards in hand. Gonna need to be doing some connecting here with this angel. Would be great. Move to combat. Swing, see if he bounces it. I have to imagine he does. Yeah, there's the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess. This is probably bad. I mean, I am basically getting raced by the clock, so that's why I'm doing things poorly. But like I should not have done that, right? Like I should have waited, and I should have waited for my opponent's end step. Like I should continue tapping. I should have swung for 2, and then just continue tapping. But I'm getting raised by the clock, right? So that's why I'm playing suboptimally in order to raise the clock, because I need to like get him dead before the time runs out. Play land, bounce, send the turn back, upkeep, Forsaken City, tap blue. Like I don't think he can win. Like given infinite time, I think I win this game, this match every time. It's just a matter of, you know, can he cheese out the win effectively? Put that on top, play a port, send the turn, Angel comes in. I misclicked my tapping his lands. It's whatever. Low-key rewarded by not tapping. Just not gonna use library now, just to make the clock faster. Swords to Plowshares, brutal. Alright. This may end up becoming an F6 battle here, which I'm gonna lose because I have library. So I'm losing the F6 battle here, which is unfortunate. Alright, Treetop, it's you now. It's all you, baby. So I think I have this game locked up, so right now it's just gonna be an F6 battle, and I think I can win it. I am pretty good at actions per second in MTGO. Always no and always yield. Guess I'm gonna cast this Terravore and then F6. But yeah, Will is not auto-yielding, and I think that can punish him. I am officially ahead on clock. I am officially ahead on clock. So I think we're just gonna do this thing for a while. And it's gonna be a lame ending to an otherwise pretty cool match. I'm still not too sold on Will's strategy of... I'm not too sold on Will's strategy of the Brain Freeze. Like, every time I've seen it, it has not looked good. But yeah, I mean, I'm very good at actions per second on MTGO, so... Even though I was like a minute and a half... Even though I was like a minute and a half behind, I'm not super surprised that I managed to turn it around. But yeah, I do think that, you know, if we had infinite time with quadruple port and like the Angel, even though he did find the plow, then there was the Terravore, but the way that I was supposed to play that game was to like constantly go like tapping Will on upkeep so that he would like every time have more limited amount of mana. Then, you know, the clock is the clock, you know, it's what you're signed up for in MTGO. So that game would have gone on for quite a little bit longer, I think. But if I had been playing optimally, and if Will had been playing optimally, I think it would have been very close. I think I was slightly ahead, but not by too much, honestly. But that was a crazy interesting match. That was very, very cool. All right, see you next round. Okay, what do we got here? Round number 3, and this seems like a fine start. Let's keep this. So we're going to be able to play the Prism game for a little bit. It's kind of interesting whether we want to port onto or play Sphere. It's going to very much depend on what my opponent is up to, because I may want to just play out the Exalted Angel. If I find another land, then I'm going to slam the Sphere. I just want to make sure that I can cast this Angel on curve, and if this Angel actually turns into a 4-drop, that's going to be maybe a little bit more challenging to achieve. We'll see what we're up against. That's a red mana, so probably Sly, I would assume. That means I definitely want to slam this Sphere right now. Nothing was played, huh? Okay. Bloodstained Mire. That's a fine draw, actually. So now we can go upkeep, port the red source. And my opponent didn't do anything the previous turn, so I could maybe assume that they're not going to be doing anything here. Oh! Red-green with Bloodstained Mire. What the hell does that even mean? I don't know. Okay, so let's play Trevis Ruins. Gonna float some mana, and I'm just going to play a Morph here. Kind of unfortunate that we don't really have anything else going on. My opponent hasn't done anything, though, so if they don't have the answer for this Morph right now... Okay, so they did. Firebolt. Treetop Village. So how do we do this here? So I guess I want to play the Mox, discarding the Forest. This could allow me to play a Terravore here if I want to. Ritz Grove gets to bounce. The treetop. Bouncing treetop is kind of awkward. So I guess I have to bounce the port. So play Grove, because I definitely want to have access to white. Bounce this, play Mox, pitching Forest. And now I can play my Terravore. And my opponent cannot flashback the Firebolt because of the Sphere. So this is not a great Terravore, but since we're Terravore flooded here, I kind of have to do something. Okay, Terravore now a 2-2. Success. Jund. Alright. Is this a deed? Oh, Diabolic Edict. Okay, that's fine. We'd love to find like a fetch land maybe. Interesting. Okay, so let's play a Sphere. Number 2. I'm gonna tap my opponent's Black Source on upkeep. Because I am kind of afraid of Pernicious Deed. Opponent fetches. So now these Terravores are 3/3s. A little bit harder to kill. Pillage my land. Okay. Gonna do the same thing again. Tap the Black Source. Maybe I should have just like let it resolve so that I can plow the treetop. Yeah, maybe I should have done that. So as is, my opponent is 2 lands away from flashing back Chainer's Edict. And these Terravores are starting to get a little bit beefy. Burning Wish. Wish for Pillage. So I think if I find an untapped source here, Cataclysm is a funny one. So now I'm not super stoked about my spot. Going to let this go. But yeah, I really, if I find a land there and I can just play a Terravore, I'm just gonna feel extremely far ahead at that point. But now, maybe a little bit too late. Ugh, we draw the library exactly 1 turn too late. So we are 1 land away from just getting to do the thing, which is nice. Duress. This is gonna take the library most likely, or the plow if my opponent wants to start beating down. Library is the better card to take. Cataclysm, really? Wait, what? Why is my opponent playing into the source splashers? I mean, I guess they want me to use it, but like that seems fine with double Sphere in play and potentially resolving a library this turn. Top land. A little bit rough there, but it's fine. Oh my god, that's sick. Magnivore? Alright, baby. That's a card I did not expect to see. That's a good draw, though. I will go ahead and say that Oath of Druids right there was pretty decent. Does my opponent have the answer? Alright. Those are not lethal. So, Oath you. These are gonna be some kind of beefy Magnivores, though. Okay, so any order is fine. Another Sphere. So I'm just dead because I couldn't find a land for the Terravore. Alright, that's cool though. I like the Magnivore thingy. Okay, so what do we care about? I think Exalted Angel's pretty good. I also think Armageddon's pretty good. Cataclysm seems great. I like Aura of Silence. Don't like Enlightened Tutor. I like Furnace. Suron Orb also pretty decent. I suspect my opponent, I mean, you're not splashing black if you're not playing Pernicious Deed in a deck like that, so I'm going to assume that my opponent has access to these, so I'm going to cut a couple of Moxen and maybe like 2 Spheres, and just go with this. So now we know what my opponent's up to. They're doing some Magnivore shenanigans, which is a lot of fun. Alright, so gonna be shipping this one, obviously. And I guess I'm going to be keeping this one. So we're going to keep bottom plains. I think I'm going to lead on one of these fetch lands. And then I probably slam the Oath onto Bloodstained Mire. It's going to be Duress. I think if I'm... Okay, so that actually tells me a fair bit about my opponent's hand, right? Which is that they don't have an answer to Oath, at least in hand. Oh, never mind. It just tells me that they have another Duress. Okay, I'm not fetching because I know that there's a dead card on the bottom, right? My opponent has the Treetop plus Black Source in their Pillage deck, which is hilarious. Oh yeah, that's definitely a Pillage mana base over there. I think I serve, so let's swing for 3. Next turn I can port and serve, which is nice. That's a red source. Oh, my opponent wants to trade. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. So here's a Treetop, getting in there, and I'm going to fetch for a Plains and an upkeep. I'm going to tap my opponent's red source. My best draw would probably be Cataclysm here. I don't think I play around Vendetta with my opponent being a sorcery deck. So I think I'm gonna play a land and say go. Just gonna once again tap their mountain on upkeep. And now next turn I can actually start attacking. Oh yes, perfect mana base. Sphere of Resistance. I don't think that does too much here. I'm going to play it to protect it from a discard spell, but... So tap their red source and tap their treetop. So now I can start beating down next turn. So if I draw Cataclysm, I think I just win the game on the spot. Halt Reach. Okay, that's fine. Source Plowshares. Here is a treetop. Play my land, say go. Upkeep, port 1 red. I think I'm just gonna fetch here. Even though I know I have library in my deck, but port the other red. Dude, port is just such an insane card in this deck. The more I play this deck, the more impressed I am by Rishat and port. Let's cycle first to see what we find. Library is great. Alright, so we're gonna take a turn off to port, I think. Let's play a land. I think that just continuing to develop my mana here is where I want to be. Port the Cataclysm Forest and port the mountain. If my opponent fires off a treetop, I'm going to Source of Plowshares, Call of the Herd. I think I untap. Let's see what we find. Wasteland, another treetop, and Windswept Heath. It's pretty nice. So I'm going to put the Windswept Heath on top and then pay for the other two. And I think that I just played a treetop village and pass the turn back. Port the mountain, port the Cataclysm Forest. And now we can fire off treetop if we want to, or we can just plow this elephant token. Yep, okay. So I'm just going to just plow this token. I guess I can just take 3 and hope I find a Cataclysm. No, I don't think I can take the damage. I could have also just traded a treetop village for the token. So, another port. Do I pay 4 here? We go down to 7. Ugh. Yeah, I guess I have to pay. I'm going to play out a Wasteland, and I'm going to Wasteland the red source. So now I only need to port 1 land, meaning I get to activate both treetops. Or I can just tap one of them if I want to. Wow, opponent just packs it up. That's an interesting concession. I mean, I feel like we were pretty ahead there, but that seems like an early concession. I think this looks fine. I do wonder if I want something like Rare of Revelation. I definitely don't want Cop Red. I don't think I care about this card. Curse Totem seems not good enough. Yeah, I think this is just fine. Although I guess Cop Red answers Magnivore, which is kind of interesting. Maybe it's better than Seal of Cleansing. Yeah, okay. I think that's fine. Game 3, what do we got? Turn 1 Oath? Sure. This hand does get kind of blown out by Hull Breach, which my opponent did show me they have access to. So that's definitely something to watch out for. No turn 1 discard spell, obviously pretty good for us. I think I just play a land and say go. Yeah, I think so. I can just play a TerraOath on turn 2 if I want to. Just have to make sure that I fetch a red source. But this is going to be a 2/2 TerraOath at least. I guess that gets killed by what's his name. So yeah, I'm going to play a port here, and I'm just going to play this library. Library was a fantastic draw there. Absolutely incredible draw. That's going to put me really far ahead now. My opponent does not have a discard spell. If they have Hull Breach, they kind of just have to answer this library here. Mulch is fine. No lands were found. Just 4 sorceries. Alright, I approve of this. I approve of this. Library, what do you got for me? I'm gonna say yes, and I guess I draw the treetop and then play this and shuffle. I guess I can draw the port, so let's just do that. So pay 4 for port. We're going to play... I guess I don't need to do anything. I can just play the treetop and port my opponent. This seems fine. So I'm just gonna port, I think, the red source. I think my point is more red than anything else. Well, now obviously I'm gonna port something else, right? Obviously we're gonna pivot now. But I only know about 1 card on top of my deck. Opponent has no info about my hand, so they get Hull Breach. Okay, so I'm just not gonna play out this Mox Diamond for no reason. I do guess that I can just Cataclysm, but I think I'd like to have a TerraWar in play by the time I Cataclysm. I am probably gonna pay with this library almost regardless, because like this library is gonna get destroyed now. I'd rather have redundant land than redundant what's his name? Redundant Mox. So let's just play a fetch land, fetch for basic plains, and I'm just gonna port my opponent's green source. I think I do play an Oath actually. Yeah, let's actually play an Oath. And now I can port my opponent's green source and black source for that matter. My opponent has been holding onto this Bloodstained Mire for a long time now. So they're gonna Hull Breach now. We don't know our top card because I just shuffled it away. Opponent's Wishing. Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting to me. They're wishing for a pillage that they can't cast. Okay, so we draw an Oath. I guess we're gonna keep both of these on top. So we're gonna put the Oath on top and then we're gonna put the Cataclysm on top. So we're gonna go Mox Diamond, pitching Secluded Steppe. Then I'm going to Cataclysm, leaving Treetop. I'm gonna keep the library instead of the Oath. So keep this and keep this and keep that. And be done. Any order. And now we are going to port. And the reason to port here is to force my opponent to make this decision with the least amount of information possible. So if they get a red source, now they're not gonna have a black source to edict my TerraWar, which is a casual 11/11. Yeah, this is looking pretty good for the good guys. So yes, put the Oath on top, put the Cataclysm on top. I guess I'd like to protect it from a discard spell. So here's a TerraWar, and shipping the turn back. Yep. Alright. This deck continues to impress. This deck just continues to impress. Very cool. I'm a big fan of my opponent's deck, by the way. Magnivore, like all of the Vores in these, like that are legal from Legacy, they're so interesting to me. Like they are such like great deck building exercises. I do think TerraWar is the best of the bunch, but like Magnivore is like sorceries are very strong in this format. So very, very cool to see my opponent's decks. That's very, very sweet. All right, here we go. We're playing against Romario. You may know Romario as the guy who made the video that I share with everybody whenever they ask me about this league. And this hand looks pretty good. So we're gonna have turn 1 Mox into library. I'm definitely doing that. I think I'm gonna pitch this Wasteland. It's probably better to just pitch these Travis Runes actually. It makes my mana slightly more awkward. But Ruins is going to potentially be annoying. Opponent plays a basic Swamp. And yeah, this is pretty good. So I think I'm going to... I don't think I care about the Mox. But I'm definitely going to be keeping the TerraWar. And I'm just going to be porting here. I'm going to be porting over Mario's upkeep. So port the Swamp. See what he does. Another basic Swamp. Okay, so we knew about the Mox. Let's see what else we got here. E-Tutor Swords of Plowshares. Interesting. So let's put the Mox on top. And let's put the Swords on top. And I'm going to play a land and pass the turn back. So what this is going to do is I am going to tap in my opponent's upkeep. Because I still don't know what he's up to, right? So I don't know whether I want to be shuffling the Swords of Plowshares or not. Now I can tutor for a bunch of things, actually. Or I can just shuffle. I think I'm just going to shuffle. Go get a Forest and then tap. So we are hitting our land drop, which is good. There's an Oath and there's an Angel. So I think I can just play TerraWar and tap my opponent's land. So put Oath on top, put Angel on top, play a land. And I'm just going to cast this TerraWar. It's only a 2/2 for now, but it's gonna grow quickly enough. Also, if he overextends into this Cataclysm, I'm just gonna cast it. Oh, he just has smaller. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna port his dude. Has to turn back. We know there's an Angel on top. Nether Spirit. Okay, so some sort of mono black control. Let's put a Mox Diamond on top, and I think I'm gonna pay life for the Angel. I'm just gonna play this Oath, and now pass the turn and tap him on upkeep. Contamination. I don't think I care about that. So let's enlighten tutor for Seal of Cleansing. And oh, I messed that up. Oh, whoops. Well, I guess I'm not gonna oath, actually. Well, I definitely messed that one up. Because I'm only gonna have access to one white source, so put that wasteland on top and pay for the treetop. Play treetop, play seal. Okay, play Seal of Cleansing. And I'm just going to tap my opponent's land and upkeep. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, this sucks. I messed that up. I needed to like just main phase do that, now that I think about it. So I'm gonna say yes here. All of this is fine. So let's put Terravore on top. And let's put Secluded Step on top. And I guess I can't cast these Cataclysms unless I blow up the Contamination, which seems fine, actually. Yeah, so let's just blow up the Contamination now. And we can just hard cast Exalted Angel, or we can play Cataclysm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can just play Cataclysm, keeping the planes. Yeah, so let's do float mana, play Cataclysm. I'm going to keep Mox, I'm gonna keep planes, and I'm gonna keep Sylvan Library. Be down there. He only keeps a swamp, and I get to play a wasteland and play a morph. So he can get his Nether Spirit back on upkeep, that's fine. Does he have Vendetta or like some way to duress? Duress takes the Cataclysm, doesn't matter too much, I don't think. So now I know that there's the Secluded Step on top, but if I find any untapped land, I can be pretty good here. Okay, so I can just Source to Plowshares this. So let's put Terravore on top, and I'm just gonna, I think, pay mana for this. So play this out, Source to Plowshare the Spirit, swing for 2. We are going down to 1, but I don't think that there's, unless he has something like Dark Ritual into, it would need to be like Dark Ritual into like, what's the name of the card? Drain Life. So this is cool. Play Treetop, swing, and my opponent could have Diabolic Edict here, which would suck, but it is what it is. My opponent does have the Edict. That's fine. We can still just play out a Terravore next turn. All right, let's see what he does. Oh, he does have Drain Life. Oh my god. I guess he does have the Drain Life. All right, so maybe I got too aggressive with the library. I mean, I think it was fine. I don't think I'm supposed to play around that, but it's pretty hilarious. So let's cut these, and I'd rather have Furnace than Source to Plowshares. Then obviously Oath of Druid sucks, so let's take that out. Then we have Aura of Silence, which is great. Armageddon, I like all the Exalted Angels. I think Ray of Revelation is fine. I think Cataclysm is pretty good. I'm going to not care about Tormod's Crypt, I don't think. But I'm probably going to care about Suran Orb and maybe another Seal of Cleansing. Sphere of Resistance seems pretty decent. Yeah, this seems fine. So my opponent is just a mono black control, old school, just bunch of removal and eventually like arena and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe I actually do want the extra naturalize over the Suran Orb maybe. My opponent having no answer to Mox Diamond makes me kind of want to keep the Moxen in, particularly if they're playing Contamination. But yeah, but this is why I like this deck so much. It's like it doesn't matter if you. It just doesn't matter if you need to cyber out your oaths, because like you can just hardcast your threats very easily. This hand is once again pretty good, so I'm gonna keep it. The question is gonna be whether I want to pitch Heath or Port. I think I want to pitch the Heath here, although mana may be an issue. I really doubt that my opponent is playing Wasteland, so I think I'm just going to turn 1 library here, do that before my opponent can duress me. And now that I have a better idea of what my opponent is doing over there, it's gonna be a lot easier to just manage this Sylvan Library. Yeah, so this seems great. I think I just pay the full amount here. So pay for everything and play. I can play both things if I want. So I can play Seal of Cleansing and Sphere. Yeah, let's do that. Fetch for a forest. Play Seal of Cleansing. Obviously, I want to do that first, and then play the Sphere. So now, even if he has like Arena and stuff like that, it just doesn't matter. So put Mox Diamond up, put the Enlightened Tutor up, play a port, and we're just going to just play a Morph. So here I'm forcing my opponent to have the answer to this Exalted Angel right now, or they're just, you know, gonna get owned by it. Don't like that Tutor there, but it's gonna be nice to shuffle at least. So pass the turn back. Whoops, I forgot to tap my opponent upkeep. That was just a misclick. I don't even know if I get anything with this Enlightened Tutor, honestly. I can just get a second Sphere, maybe? I can get an Aura of Silence. All of these are not great options, but they do something. Oh, Furnace is a good one, actually. Nah, I'll just get Aura of Silence. I don't think I care about I even care about tapping him over there, so put Wasteland on top, and I'm gonna pay for the Aura. Play a land. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pass the turn. So now Arena is gonna be taxed for him. Pays 5 mana for the Demonic Tutor. Pretty interesting. I imagine he's gonna go get Cabal Coffers, but I can just tap the Coffers a bunch, so it doesn't really do that much. We could also just draw an Armageddon here, right? Sphere is kind of nice. So put this stuff on top, play a second Sphere, and I guess I swing for 3. Could have tapped him over there, but I think getting in there for 3 is gonna be more valuable. His enchantments just don't really do anything. So we see Wasteland, Brushland. I'm gonna start holding on to lands at this point, I think. So put this on top, send the turn back. But now I'm going to start setting up a Cataclysm or Armageddon, either or. Unmask, Pitching Drain Life, the Whiffski. The Whiffski. Alright, what do we got? Wasteland, number 2. So we're gonna put this on top, and we can swing here and then double port. Seems fine. And my opponent can't Diabolic Edict. So tap their land. I need to just not get corrupted here. So I'm good. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm just dead to corrupt. I needed to find an Armageddon. 5 copies. I had 5 copies of Armageddon that I was drawing towards, but that was cool though. Mono Black Control, it's a hell of a deck. I think it's really underrepresented, honestly. But yeah, it was well played by Romario there. Alright, here we go. Last match. So it's actually an interesting hand. I think I keep it because I can just tutor for Mox Diamond, and that will give me, I guess we'll see. Okay, I'm playing against a white deck, so now I'm getting punished here. So I guess I'm not going to be tutoring then. I'm going to just cycle Secluded Step. Okay, so my opponent portents and decides not to shuffle. Let's see what we got. That's a land. Okay, I'll take it. So now we do have our green source, meaning that I just get to play my basic plans to just cycle the Secluded Step on my opponent's end step. Blue, that's a Dreadnought. So I have many options here. I can cycle Step or I can tutor for Seal of Cleansing. The problem is if I go for Seal of Cleansing, it's just so bad. Like I'm just basically telling my opponent, you can daze me. Alright, there we go. Clearly it was better to cycle, huh? Let's see what's up here. So I think we want to cycle for... Oh, that's a good one. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fetch for a basic forest and I'm going to play this Sphere of Resistance. It is something that my opponent is probably going to have a hard time playing through. And if they don't, then this just baits a counter spell. And then I can just Source to Plowshares next turn. Daze. Okay. So that puts my opponent behind on a land drop. So now if I find... I guess there's nothing I can really have here. If they have counterspell, they have counterspell. There's nothing I can do. I do need to Source to Plowshares on my opponent's upkeep, however. So if their answer... if their protection spell is Vision Charm, I get to Time Walk them. Not Time Walk them, but like stopping an attack. Sleight of hand. So my opponent looks like they're on mono blue. Maybe they're on blue white. I don't know. Well, now that I see this, now that they tapped the blue land, now I'm just going to... It's better for me to Source to Plowshares, I think. I'm gonna play Wasteland and I'm going to Source to Plowshares now. If they have Vision Charm, they have Vision Charm, but the problem is if I let my opponent tap, not only do they have Vision Charm, but they also have access to Counterspell. And like both of those things are just very bad for me, right? So yeah, so now we lose. That sucks. Okay, so mono blue StifleNought. I do like Seal of Cleansing. I do like Aura of Silence. I do like Naturalize. And then I think Serenorv's okay. It can buy me like a turn or two. Revelation doesn't really do anything. Cataclysm is quite bad. So is Armageddon. So is Oath of Druids, actually. Well, actually, Oath, maybe it's just okay. I think I do want to cut Cataclysms. Maybe I can keep Armageddon, actually. Nah, two Cataclysms is fine. Maybe just the one. And now we're lowering our curve a little bit. We do have access to a bunch of libraries. I think Mox is good. I don't like Tutor. Yeah, I think Armageddon's not great, but maybe it's okay. I'm just going to cut the Cataclysms. I don't think that fighting over their mana is how I'm going to win this. And here the reason why I'm not bringing in the extra angels is because Terravore is kind of just the better threat. Like, Terravore actually can get bigger than a Dreadnought. Obviously, it's not as easy for the Terravore to get bigger when I have, when I'm cutting Cataclysms, but Oath is still a card. We're going to be on the play here. This seems like a pretty good draw. So I'm going to play around Stifle by fetching main phase for a green source here. So fetch main phase, get my forest, pass the turn. Next turn we're going to have the option of just porting my opponent or playing a library. Opponent portents themselves. I'm definitely not just, slamming these Seal of Cleansing. I don't think that really does anything for me. I could, however, just slam the library here. The problem is we could get comboed out. If we do that, my opponent will need to get tapped out. So this is close. I think I want to port them. This opponent draws their card. Wasteland doesn't do anything. Yeah, I'm just going to port them. Port them is pretty nice because it stops Counterspell for next turn. The question now is, do I want to land the library next turn? Or am I better off playing Seal of Cleansing? My opponent probably has Annuls, so maybe it's better to attempt to resolve the library. I could also just tap my opponent's land again. I think that's fine. So let's just tap my opponent's land, then I can untap. So if they go for Shrimp, I'm not much more likely to resolve the Seal of Cleansing. Would have loved to draw like a Sphere of Resistance or something like that. Alright, so they pass the turn. Untap. I'm gonna play this library, see what my opponent does. This is probably worth a counterspell, I would assume. Looks like it isn't. Okay. So my opponent does look like they are indeed on mono blue, which is much better for me, honestly. I would be a lot more scared of blue-white, I think. I think it's probably gonna be easier for me to navigate around mono blue than navigate around blue-white. Meddling Mage is a heck of a card. Okay, tap your land. What do you got, opponent? There's the Dreadnought. They have Stifle. Okay. Library, what do you got for me? Oath of Druids. Okay. Ugh, it's kind of annoying. So I guess I want to put the Oath and the Exalted Angel in my hand and the land on top. So put the Wasteland on top, the Exalted Angel, pay 4 life. The reason to pay 4 for the Exalted Angel is so I mill more cards for this Oath of Druids. They want to play around Annul. Well, I don't think I do. So let's just play this. My opponent will probably need to counter this, I want to say. There's the Annul. And here's a Seal of Cleansing. Is this one good, or do you have the foil? Yeah, definitely doing this main phase for obvious reasons. And now we're looking pretty good. Port being incredible, right? For those people that say that Wasteland is better than Port, Wasteland would have lost me this game very easily. In fact, it's sitting here doing absolutely nothing. And, you know, Port is out there winning me the game, so. Okay, now they do have the Vision Charm. So I can fetch with this Windswept Heath, which I think is what I want to do, because I know I have at least one dead card on top. And I'm going to get a green source, I guess. So I can potentially resolve this Terravore, maybe? Ugh, man, we're not drawing great here. Sphere of Resistance is kind of interesting. So I can't actually cycle, unfortunately. So I'm going to put this on top. and put this on top. And I guess I'm going to play a morph. Play 3 top. You're gonna take 12 down to 2. It's a lot of damage. Yeah, but this just doesn't do anything. Like, I need to draw something off the library, which seems very hard to achieve from here. What if I morph Exalted Angel? I have 2 bad cards on top. Is there anything I can do? I just need to luck suck, I think. So I'm leading on the Sphere because that's going to eat the... If he eats the counter spell... Yeah, well now I was expecting that to get countered. Now I can't actually cast my my other creatures. Whoops. That did not work out. I mean, it's still the same thing, right? Like, if I'm just dead to this attack. This is what I was afraid of this matchup. This is my first time playing the matchup, and I was afraid of it. Like, if I don't land an early Sphere, like, I feel like I just fall behind so quickly if my opponent has a good draw. So, it feels very awkward. That's not one of the answers that I'm looking for. So I think we just die here. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I could have really done. I don't think there's nothing I could have really done. Like, my opponent just had 2 combos back to back turns. Like, my opponent's hand was incredible. I just don't think I could have, unless I had like an early Sphere draw. I don't think there's too much I could have done about a draw like that one. That's top high percentage of draws, but I'm trying to think if there's any way like I can cycle this and make Terravore. Yeah, just not a thing. Yeah, I needed to like resolve an Oath last turn or something. All right, well there goes that. Pretty disappointing last 2 matches. Like I came in really hot in the first half, and then the wheels fell off towards the end. Yeah, my opponent's hand was just top. Having played this deck a fair amount, this is like top 10% of hands. My opponent had the perfect amount of lands, the perfect amount of interaction every step of the way. So good stuff. All right, deck's pretty good. Not the best deck, the mono blue one, but it's still pretty good. All right, so that wraps up the league. This deck is pretty good. I actually think that there is something here. I actually took this exact 75 and I played it at a local event here in Los Angeles, and I took it down. It was 5 rounds, so I went 4-0, and then like I did into the top 4, and then I just played. We played straight to finals because like the 2 other semifinalists had to leave. So I do think this deck is good. I do think that this is a very powerful shell. I think that the mana base is the thing to mess around with the most. I do think that I would like to have access to Treat of Village number 4. I don't think we can make room for Mishra's Factories. I do think that Rishadan Port is like, it's much more important to this strategy than Factory would be. So I do think that I want to prioritize Treat of Villages over Factories. So this could be maybe over a Treva's Ruins or a Rift Grove. I don't know, maybe a Rushland. I'm not sure what it would be, but I do think that we can do something better there. And then finally, I don't like these tutors. So like the reason for the tutors mainly was the fact that I could not see myself winning the red matchup unless I would like tutor for Secret Protection red plus multiple spheres like in the early game. Like that would be my game plan versus red. And then like just making sure that they can never overwhelm me with a bunch of mana. So that was the strategy that I was envisioning, and Enlightened Tutor kind of made sense as a card that I can play in the main deck, and I can just tutor for Oath, I can tutor for Library, tutor for Sphere if I need to, you know, depending on the matchups where those cards are good. But this card is just not very good. So, like, the card disadvantage is not easy for this deck to recoup. Like, I mean, Silver Library is fantastic. Like, this card does a lot of work, and I do not want any less than 3 copies. In fact, I could honestly see adding a 4th one. Like, this card is just bonkers. But, like, Enlightened Tutor is just such a weak card overall, and I don't think a deck like this, it's not like Parfait. Like, Parfait was the Enlightened Tutor deck, because once you assemble your engine, like, you're up so many cards that the card disadvantage just doesn't matter. This deck cannot do that. Like, this deck doesn't have the capability of putting something like that powerful together. All of our stuff comes in the form of playing to the board with Oath and Terravore and Exalted Angel, or Sphere of Resistance, and then just like limiting all of the other factors with a Cataclysm. So that makes things a little bit awkward there. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting, and this shell is very good. I'm going to continue tinkering and messing around with it. I do like TerraVore a lot, so many things that I want to try out. I was thinking like maybe putting more Exalted Angels in the main deck. I think like a third copy could be good. I was thinking maybe more Seal of Cleansing action, potentially main deck in a Rare of Revelation, which obviously is pretty good alongside Oath of Druids. So there's a lot of things that I want to try out. But this was the first couple of matches. This were my first tries, and the deck has been performing pretty well, even in this unfinished form. So excited to try it out some more. Hopefully you dig it, and if you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on the way out, and let me know in the comments what you thought about the deck, how we can improve it, because I'm always looking forward to messing around with this. So, awesome. Long live Premodern, folks. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.